Hello friends. Today we will look into an important aspect of Java, that is Java Enums. One of the subscriber asked me to make a video on Java Enums. In this video we will get into details of why we need the Java Enums and how we can use the enums with some state within it, and how we can use the enums with switch statement and efficient use of enums with collections. Let's get started. Enums. Let's see an example. Let me define few set of constants here. Let me say a class called season constants, and let me define few constants here. Now that I have the constants, so basically representing the different seasons, now I want to use these constants in one of the method. Let me define a method here. So I have a simple method to print the season. Let me call this method. So I am printing the fall and the summer. If I run the program, I can see that it's printing its fall and its summer. That is as expected. Now let's say in another call, if I pass some random string here. So in this case also it accepts it without complaining. But actually this is not expected. We are having a defined set of constants for the season. So this is the disadvantage with having a plain public static final way of defining the constants. We don't have a type check here. There is no limitation on the constants. How we can avoid this? So answer is using the enums. Let's see how we can avoid this using the enums. Let me define a enum with seasons, and the same seasons I will define here. And call this in one of the utility method here. And let me print the season. Now I will call the method with enum. Let me comment this method for time being. Now if I run the program, like for winter and summer, it has printed the enum values winter, summer. Let me uncomment this part. Now it's trying to call this method which takes an enum as an input with a string value. So it is complaining at the compile time. Right? Even if you try to run the program, so you will get the compilation error saying that a string cannot be converted to enums. So that's the advantage with enums. You can define a set of constants, and you'll be limited to using those set of constants so that you can avoid any runtime errors. Internally, how Java defines the enums, it actually extends the abstract class enum. So by default, the enum constants like winter, spring, summer, and fall, they are actually extending the abstract class enum, and they have these methods: ordinal, name, and the various other methods. So basically, like name will have the name of the constants by default, the name, whichever the name you are giving to the constant, so that will be its the value for the name method here. So for example, if I have to print the name, so I can call the name here. So it is the same constant value. And ordinal, there is another property called ordinal. That is basically the order in which the constants are defined. So usually it starts with 0. So I am trying to print the winter. Winter is the first constant. And then I have summer. So 0, 1, 2. So it's having the 2 as the value. So ordinal will be useful in the collections, which we will see terms using double equals. Let's see it through an example here. Like let me remove these calls. Season, let's say winter equals season fall. If I run this, I get false as the result. If I give winter, yeah. So basically, the two constants like this winter and this winter, both are same. They are the same object instances. That we can confirm by just printing the hash code. Like if you have two enum constants and if you print the hash code, so they are both the same. So they are the both same object instances. Enum values, we can use the utility method dot values. Let me print all the seasons. For that, I can call the values. Let me use the arrays.stream to print the values, and for each I want to print them in a separate line. So let me remove the constants which are not required now. If I run this program, now I can see that all the enum constants are printed. So it's very handy to print all the. We can create enums, but the only condition is the enum value should match with the existing enum constants. Let's say I want to create an enum season, let me say winter, let me say another winter, and how I can create season dot value of. So here the constant which I specify, that should exactly match the enum which I want to create. Now if I print it here, I should be getting the winter as the value. But one thing to note here, so this constants another winter and the season dot winter, this both are the same object instances. so that we can verify by printing the hash code. Like if I print the hash code here for the enum which I created and the already existing enum constants, both should match. So you can see that both the instances are matching. Of enum is we cannot extend the enums. So if at all I want to try to define another enum class, like let me say like season extended, so we can't do this. It will complain that cannot inherit from enum, so we cannot extend the enums. One aspect of Java enums is with the switch statements. How we can use the enums with switch statements? Let us see through an example here. In the switch, I can mention the enum, and each case can have the enum constants. Let me define some value to be printed here. I can see that Java compiler is complaining here that an enum switch case label must be unqualified name of any enumeration constants. So Java mandates us to use the enums without qualifying with the class names when we are using with the switch statement. So we need to remove this qualification, then it will be fine. Like let me define for the other. So this we need to keep in mind when we are using the switch statement with enum constants. We need not qualify the enum constant with the enum name, and that makes sense also, like because these enum constants are limited and they should be used only the constants which are defined within the enum. So there is no reason to qualify them. Enums can have state within it. Before that, let's see how the enums are initialized. So this is a very unique feature with respect to enum. Whenever you call first enum, like any constant within, let's say in the season, if you make a call to like season.spring, so all these enum constants get initialized. Let's verify that. Let me give some constructor. This is the way you can call the constructor of the enum with some argument. Let me call season string description. Let me print for just for verification. Now here I will make a call to season dot, let's say winter. Let's see what will happen here. Now you can see that I have called only one constant season dot winter, but I can see that it has called the constructor of winter, spring, summer, fall, all the constants, and then it is printing the winter. Now let me call again, let's say I want to call fall. If I run again, so this is the interesting aspect of enum. So for the first call, it has called all the constructors for all the constants. Then for the next call, it has not called. So because all the constants are initialized. So constants are initialized only one time. The next time it is using already whichever the constants already created. In that case, each enum constants needs to implement that abstract method. Let me define an abstract method, a simple abstract method. Let's say void print description, and let me override this. So here I will just print this. So since it is abstract, every constant needs to implement. Ideally, you will have an implementation which is specific to these constants. To give an idea, I am just using the same implementation. Now, if I call here print description, so I should be getting the corresponding value. So here the description is the winter, spring, summer, right? So probably I am missing, yeah, it's extra semicolon. Okay, I need not have the sys because they are not returning any value. Hopefully now compiler is fine. Yes, now you can see it has printed the description, winter and fall. So enums can have the abstract methods, and each enum needs to implement those methods. Now what if I want to implement methods in only few constants? In those cases, I can have a public method like public void more description. In those cases, I need to have an implementation here. And this can be implemented by selected methods. For example, winter wants to implement this. So it can override the more description and print its own specific implementation. So it's not necessary that all the constants needs to override this. So few selected can override. So now I can call season dot winter dot more description, and if I call the same thing for, let's say, for fall, so let's see what it will print. Now I can see it's very cold here and more of fall. So this is a default implementation. And also note that it's not the intention of enums to have abstract methods, public methods extensively. We can use these methods wherever it is needed, but the overall idea is to keep the enums simple and short. Be used with collections. Java has provided us specialized implementations for enums with collections. For that, we have enum set and enum map. So enum set and enum map are specialized implementations with performance in consideration. Let's see. Let me define an enum set here, which takes the season as the enum. And let me have few values here. Now that I have the enum set, let me iterate the enum and print each of the value. Now you can see that it has printed winter, spring and fall. This is exactly the same as the order in which the constants are defined. So let me see here: winter, spring and fall. So here interesting aspect is these collections enum set, they are considering the ordinal of the enum. So the elements are stored based on the ordinal value. So winter has the ordinal of 0 and this is 1, and this spring, I guess it is 1, right? Yeah, so fall is having 2. So we can print the ordinal value as well. Let me print the ordinal value, then we will come to know. Let me print with the name with the ordinal. See, it is ordered based on the ordinal. We have enum map. Let's see that through an example. Let me create a map with a mapping from season to some string. And let me put few elements. Now if I have to print this, let's see. So let me print this. Let me print both the name and the ordinal. So if I need to run this, so it is saying that there is no constructor with default. Okay, so now it expects a class name, which is the enum class, as an input. Now if I run this, yeah, let me just comment out the earlier part so that we can clearly see in the output. Now you can see spring has come up first, summer and fall. So again here the enum constants are stored in the map based on the ordinal value. For good performance with the enums with collections, we can consider using enum set and enum map. Enums are a good way to define constants when we have the limited set of constants. This enforces the type safety. This is the important aspect of enums, type safety of the constants. Along with that, they provide features to extend have the state for an enum constants, have few implementations where we can have the abstract methods and have custom implementations, override public methods to have some custom implementations for few selected methods. Having said that, we need to keep in mind enums should be kept simple and short. Hope this is useful. See you in the next video. Thank you.